Welcome to December, everybody. I'm not 10 days late for once in my life. So, what books, you ask, are going to keep me warm this December? Oh, that's so goddamn stupid. I'm sorry, I can't say it. Before we get to the books that I'm going to read this December, let's briefly talk about the books I read last month. And it was more than I expected. And I'll get into it right now, of course. So, the first book I read, I briefly talked about it last month because I finished it by the time the video got out. That is Train Dreams by Dennis Johnson. I'll briefly talk about it again in case you missed that video, because strangely enough, not many people watched that video. It's about a man named Robert Granier. It takes place in the early 1900s. He's a logger, and he gets married. He has a child. A tragedy befalls him. He's kind of a mysterious figure who was allegedly born on a train. Trains, of course, play a very large role in this in the story. He dreams about them, you might say. I don't know why this video is so stupid so far. It was okay. I respect a lot about it. There's some very beautiful moments in it, some very poetic, introspective, thoughtful, or thought-provoking moments in it. I saw the film as well. I thought the film was going to be better. I thought what Dennis Johnson was trying to convey or create on the page, it seemed to be very visual at times, even though it's very introspective at the same time. So anyway, I thought the film was going to be great. The film was okay. The film itself, not to turn this into a film discussion, but in case you're curious about the story whatsoever, I'll talk about it. It focused so much more on the relationship between his wife and daughter than the book did. And I felt like that was a huge mistake. I can understand why they did it from an audience standpoint, getting more of a broader audience invested, because we, of course, get invested in love, don't we? We always do. In family, children, whatever it may be. There are some great moments in the film as well. It's beautifully shot for the most part. But I feel like the book is a better version of the story. So if you want to at all read about a logger's life in the early 1900s, I said I would give this a score. I'm going to start scoring. You guys asked me for that. So this one, I'm going to give Trains by Dennis Johnson a 6.5 out of 10, I think, because it's better than average, of course. The exposition was so prevalent in this book that I feel like it was just a thorn in its side. It was always there bothering me, which is unfortunate because I think there's a really great story somewhere within those words. But anyway, moving on, Tom's Crossing by Mark Danielewski. Can't review or rate this one yet, but I want to give you my thoughts. I'm about halfway through it. I really want to try to finish this one in December so I can get out a review, because this is a book that needs to be talked about. And I'll definitely bring this up in my review, but it's a book by all accounts I should not like. It's 1,200 pages long. It's dense. It's very slow paced. It's just brimming with detail. It's got side tangents left and right about how other people view the events that unfolded. It has this very epic nature. It's really a modern epic. That's what it is. It's like if you took the Odyssey and set it in 1980s Utah and made a Western out of it, where the protagonists are children. That's the best way I can describe it. It's a lot of people were asking me, is it scary? Is it like House of Leaves? It's not. Okay, I think Mark Danielewski got a lot of fame from House of Leaves, and understandably so, because it's a fantastic book. It's one of my favorites. He's not a horror writer, so I think most people know him from that book, and so they assume he's just going to write more horror books. This isn't a horror story whatsoever. Yes, there are some supernatural elements, let's call it. Whether or not they're real, I don't know, but it feels very much seated in that mythical, epic nature of the Odyssey. And funny enough, a lot of Greek mythology or characters therein are at least mentioned in this story. And I don't want to go too far into it, but it's captivating. I always look forward to reading it. I read it very slowly. The biggest thing for this book is going into it with the right headspace, because if you go into this trying to read it quickly or reading it in maybe your normal pace, you're doing it wrong. This is definitely a long journey. It's meant to be savored. It's meant to be read slowly. From the man himself, Mark Danilevsky even said that. He said something along the lines of, if you're trying to speed through this, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Because it's not one of those books. Really, really enjoying it. It's something special. It's something unlike I've never read before. I highly recommend it so far, at least the first 50 or so. Not quite 50%, but almost there. I'm about 500 or so pages into it right now. The next book I read was a bit of a surprise. I really wanted to read this book. I'm a big fan of Louis C.K.'s comedy. He wrote a novel. It came out in November. I knew I was in the thick of Tom's Crossing, but I got the audiobook. That's how I consumed most of this novel. I read a little bit of it as well. It's really damn good. It's Ingram by Louis C.K. It's a coming-of-age story, very reminiscent of John Steinbeck. It's heavily, it makes me feel a lot of the same feelings I got when I was reading Of Mice and Men by Steinbeck. It just has that early 1900s feel about a guy setting out on his own at a very young age, and he's poor. He's got nothing. It's about like the generosity of people. Granted, not every encounter he has is a positive one, but it's just about this young boy. I think he starts at 9. The book ends when he's about 17. And it's those years, those formative years that we get to experience. And it's surprisingly good. I guess I shouldn't be surprised because comedians are storytellers. They're also masters of pacing. They're masters of subversion, diversion, all of these things that I don't think we often give them enough credit for in regards to how it translates to the written word or storytelling at large, long form storytelling. I'll probably do a formal review for this one because I think it's worth talking about, just because it's his first novel, to my knowledge, that he's written anyway, that he's published. And there's a lot of good stuff in there, surprisingly good stuff that I guess I have a lot to say about. But anyway, moving on, the fourth and final book I read was, and I forgot to put a community post up there, but you guys voted on it. The vast majority of you guys wanted me to read The Slut by Dennis Cooper, and I read it. It's something. It's also like something I've never read before. I don't know how many of you, I'm guessing a lot of you guys out there have read it and weren't just trolling me and wanted my genuine interpretation or opinion on this thing. I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below if you've read The Sluts and voted on the poll because of that, or if you just saw a title called The Sluts with a a young boy, mostly naked, smoking a cigarette on the cover and thought, haha, this would be funny if Jason had to read this. I'd like to know which camp you're in. But The Sluts, it's about an enigmatic escort, male escort named Brad. And this book is, man, I don't want to get too far into it because I owe you guys a review, but the formatting is by far the most interesting thing, where it's told in a series of posts on a website about male escorts reviewing their experiences with this quote unquote Brad, and the webmaster jumping in to correct some things, other people commenting on the reviews. There's also a section about ads. There's a section that's strictly emails, and then we come full circle to go back to the website format. So it's doing one of those things that it's always surprising to me, and I don't know why it is yet again. It's that when you just change the format of a novel to something that we're all familiar with, but not used to reading in that format, it creates a sense of authenticity that just the normal standard format of a novel just can't do, in my opinion, because it feels like we are a voyeur. We're observing all of this crazy stuff that's going on, and because it's formatted that way, it feels real. It feels like you are reading this website. Not that I read websites like that, but it feels like you're reading that website. It feels like you're reading these emails, and it's disturbing. It's very graphic in many, many ways, which I can't really talk about on YouTube because I'll probably get this video blocked, but that's why it's going to be a challenging review to do. I did enjoy it. It sounds really goddamn weird for me to say I enjoyed this book, but I did, because it was, yeah, I don't know. I'm always looking for things that I've never read before, that are doing cool stuff with the format, that are they're unafraid to tell the story they want to tell, if that makes sense. This novel felt like purely what Dennis Cooper wanted to do. It doesn't feel like it went through the marketing arm of a publisher to try to hit a certain demographic. It feels like this is just a raw, unedited, I don't even know what to call this thing. This story by Dennis Cooper that just, it was released, and here it is, love it or hate it. I think it's going to be a very divisive novel for you guys out there. I'm not a very squeamish person, more or less, of course. I grew up on horror novels. I've watched plenty of gory films, a bunch of films I probably regret watching in that regard. But it's this one, it definitely gets under your skin. It's a sad story. It's a tragic story. It's funny at times. It's disturbing at times. It's a lot of stuff. It's really a lot of stuff. It's a lot to process. It's funny because when I was reading it, a lot of times when I read, I'll read before I go to bed. I didn't like reading this book before I went to bed. Not that it's scary. It's just when you read it, it gives you just this feeling like you need to give your brain a shower, if that makes sense. And so I would often kind of, after I'd read a little bit of this book, I would hop back to Tom's Crossing or something else, or Ingram, something a little bit lighter. But yeah, that was the final book I read in November. So keep an eye out for that review coming very soon. But my TBR, what is it going to be? What are these books going to be? What's going to be my kindling for my brain this month? Well, Tom's Crossing, as you know, I already talked about it. I'm planning on finishing it, hopefully. Fingers crossed I do. But the next book I'm going to read is Good Boy by Neil McRobert, because it's very short. I didn't want to put too many heavy books on my plate this month because of Tom's Crossing, but it's really short. It's a novella. You guys recommended it. It actually came in second place on the poll last month, and I read the description, and it caught my eye. The cover caught my eye. I love the stark nature of it. There's a guy digging a hole, and it's just, I don't know, it has bold text in it. I'm a graphic designer, so I think cover presentation is incredibly important, and that one caught my eye. Also the length, like I said. But the story, what's it about? It's about this guy, this woman, she lives alone, this older woman, and she spots a guy digging a hole out in this on this plot of land outside her house. And she goes to talk to him, and he's burying a dog, but then she invites him in to have him tell his story, whatever that is. I don't want to spoil it for you. I've just barely started it. I think I've read 2 chapters so far, but I'm looking forward to it. It seems like something right up my alley, and you guys clearly expressed an interest in it. And so I'm interested because I love your guys' picks. But that will be the first thing I'm diving into alongside Tom's Crossing. Another book I'm going to read is Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane. I decided to get back on the Dennis Lehane bandwagon because my buddy here on YouTube, Britain, Samoki Dude, he's reading it this month. And I said, oh, hey, I have that book. I have that audiobook. And he said, hey, you want to read along with me? And I said, maybe we'll see if I can get to it. So I've already started it. I had to do a long drive after Thanksgiving, so I started listening to it. I think I'm going to be doing this on commutes, mostly audio. I have the ebook as well. The protagonist is a woman. She's 42, I believe. She lives in the projects. Takes place in 1974. Her daughter goes missing. Very similar to the plot, or well, I guess that missing people in a crime novel isn't repetitive, right? I mean, that's just kind of par for the course. Anyway, her teenage daughter goes missing, and she has taken it upon herself to find her, to investigate. And of course, there's a lot of crime going on, even apart from her daughter going missing. You guys know how it was in Boston in the 1970s, right? But I immediately thought of that movie. I think it's called Mother. It's a Japanese film I remember, where a mother is, I think she's taking revenge on her son. I saw it so long ago, I don't really remember the plot, but for whatever reason, this stood out in my mind. And the protagonist, she's not a fighter. Well, actually, she is a fighter. She's a tough lady. She's unafraid to stand up to anybody, no matter who they are. But I'm reading it. I'm listening to it. I'm enjoying it so far. But what is the final book I'm going to read? The book that is going to keep me the most coziest this December? Well, that is up to you out there. You guys get to pick the book. You guys know how it goes. And if you don't, which you do, drop in your recommendation in the comment below. Upvote it, and I will choose the top 4 books that are upvoted the most. You can even upvote your own pick, so don't forget to do that. Throw it in a poll. Whichever book wins will be guaranteed a review on this channel. But that's it. That's my list. Let me know what you're reading this December, and I can't wait to see what you guys suggest for me to read at the very end of the month. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.